Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to take just a minute to respond by way of this social media post that popped up on my feed by way of Victoria Stilwell. Again, I did a couple videos of Victoria Stilwell in terms of, again, I talk about the, inflammatory, divisive rhetoric coming from those who advocate training as a learning-based exercise by way again of these permissive bribery-based dog trainers who set in motion a counterfeit picture within the framework of response for many dogs and owners. And again, talk about all the inherent problems happening in society by way of the relationship that dog owners have with their dogs. And again, one of these issues is, again, we talk about the increase of dog bites, year over year. And the book I wrote a few years ago called The Mind and Body Connection references this issue as well. And again, I talk about dogs as social animals. Okay, this whole, again, I talk about the what defines a process in terms of relationship the right way, in terms of leadership, but not just the idea of leadership, but control, intentional control and influence being reconciled by way of a intentional interaction-based approach that changes the perception of dogs the right way. And again, this all leads into this whole thing about what's popular on social media, in culture, this very popular idea that puts dogs and owners in a really bad position. And so this goes in this whole issue about, we talk about breed-specific laws. Okay, this attempt to try to fix the problem without fixing the process, okay, without addressing the real issue by way of what actually defines training, what actually defines the role of the dog owner the right way in the relationship itself. Just like parenting. Again, I talk about, the critical nature of the parent's role and aligning that with the right parenting style, the authoritative parenting style. And again, you look at, what's popular, what's being marketed by trainers like Victoria Stilwell, this permissive bribery-based ideology that fails to even identify the process properly itself by way of dog owners experiencing a relationship problem. Why they go into dog training in the first place? Because they're experiencing a relationship problem. Control itself is manifesting by way, again, of behavioral issues. I talk about that. And again, I talk about even the role of influence. I'm specific as defining the role of influence by way of intercepting an expressed state of mind by way of a dog. And so here, I'll play some of it. So here you get Victoria Stilwell talking about, breed-specific bans. I mean, her of all people, okay, commenting on this issue, okay, which I find is incredible. These trainers who, again, this is the virtue signaling going on in the dog training world with those who are totally advocating the wrong process and then have lots to say about what's happening. It flies in the face of what these trainers are marketing.
Tip for Dog Bite Prevention Week. This is a tricky one. This causes a lot of argument from people.
Tricky, all right. It's really tricky when the very ideology that you're marketing sets up problems for dogs and owners.
People who are on both sides. But the evidence shows that BSL, breed-specific legislation, or breed-specific laws do not work. Here is why.
Well, they don't work because it doesn't address the issue of, of the role of the owner, okay, with, again, affecting, again, the relationship in a positive way through, again, talk about those core ingredients.
Focus on a certain breed or breed type, that breed type is more likely to bite, more likely to cause damage, and therefore needs to be banned.
So again, I'm stopping this quickly because here's the thing. When you look at, again, talk about pit bulls, okay? Pit bulls get a bad rap, wrongly, but they also, again, in terms of, you look at that breed in terms of their social need. You talk about some dogs have a higher level of social need. That's true, okay? And you get that in any breed itself, okay? So in a litter of puppies, you're going to have one or two that are going to really push the boundaries. You're going to have a higher level of social need. Every dog has the same type of need, but some dogs have a higher level of need. Just think of it like some kids need a stronger parent, okay, versus other kids. So this whole thing about, when you get into the pit bulls, that breed itself generally, okay, is going to be a lot more, in terms of a level of social need at a higher level anyway. And so this is where, again, if you look at my Flipping the Script series, okay, when you see the underbelly of this ideology get exposed, is typically with what I call the 1 percentile dogs, okay, the dogs that are have higher level of social need. And you'll see a lot of these trainers getting bitten. Okay, these trainers, are at risk of getting redirected on. Go watch the Tom Davis video on that one. I have other videos out there that showcase this issue. But here, you hear Victoria Stilwell, turn it back onto the owner, okay, as being responsible versus the dog, but doesn't even make sense. Okay, she leaves out this whole thing about what even represents a proper process, because her approach is permissive. Okay, it's based on this bribery-based idea of things, which sets up the problems for dog owners in the first place.
Lulls people into a false sense of security and also blames the wrong end of the leash. If we really want to prevent dog bites, we have to be looking at the people that are breeding dogs, the people that are raising dogs, the people that are selling dogs. And that is who we have to target, not the dogs themselves.
So here, the targeting should be and needs to be on this idea of what training is, which totally, is absent. It's totally misses what, I talk about what training is in terms of those two coordinates, influence and control, being reconciled. It doesn't do that. Okay, the criteria is missing by way of this bribery-based idea of things. You'll see this over and over and over again. The people investing time, money, and energy into this idea of things. Dogs move around the training environment looking fantastic as they do a sit down, come and stay, only to discover the relationship hasn't gotten any better at all. Okay, they're just going through the motions because it fails to address what even defines a process by way of a intervention. Okay, it does not reconcile what a process even doesn't even define it properly. And so it's the same thing. I talk about the parenting example. It's like a selfish child. It'd be the same as a parent at that point in the relationship where things are off the rails and the child's selfish and saying, you know what, I'm just going to engage, going to get some great responses happening, and I'm just going to package it all up just at a superficial response level and just sell it that way. That's what these trainers are doing. Okay, understand? It totally ignores, it doesn't connect dots properly in terms of the the relationship. Totally ignores the role of the dog owner. In fact, it shines a light on the dog owner the wrong way. And then here, of all people, okay, Victoria Stilwell, commenting on the very issue, on the very problem that is part of this whole idea, okay, in terms of relationship, in terms of the dog owner, in terms of a process. So she, of all people, should be the last person speaking on the problems in the dog training world, considering that she's one of the people that are creating the problems in the dog training world. Thanks for watching.